What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some.
I remember my son talked about one time to his mother. I'll never forget that. Never. He was 5. We was at a Denny's in Fresno, California. I don't know why we're at Denny's. I don't know why we're at Fresno. But that's where we were, you know. All of a sudden, he smarted off. I don't even remember what he said. All I know is his mother took him to the bathroom at Denny's. I don't know what happened at Bathroom at Denny's. I don't want to know what happened at Bathroom at Denny's. All I know is he's never smarted off since. I know every time we drive by Denny's, he breaks into a cold sweat and starts twitching. Dad, what's up with Denny's? What is up with Denny's? I was like, I would tell you something, but snitches get stitches, remember?
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this at iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or look up United We Cast. Also on YouTube, you can watch and listen at youtube.com/GaryOwenCom. Upcoming dates. March is right around the corner. I'm going to be actually in Virginia Beach at the Funny Bone there, March 1st to the 4th. And then I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I don't want you Steeler fans holding my loyalty to the Bengals against me, because I haven't been to Pittsburgh in like 2 years. And I really enjoy the city of Pittsburgh, and I have nothing against people being loyal to their team. And there ain't nothing like going to a Steeler game. Even as a Bengals fan, I like going to Steeler games because that stadium always be rocking. But I'm there. I'm in Pittsburgh at the Improv March 9th to the 11th. And fun fact about Pittsburgh that I'm sure Pittsburgh people know, but a lot of people don't. It's the only major city with 3 sports teams that all have the same team colors. The Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates are all black and yellow. Fun fact. Only known by Gary Owen and people in Pittsburgh. So I'm in Pittsburgh March 9th to the 11th. And then I'm in Columbus, Ohio, March 15th to the 18th at the Funny Bone. And so, yeah, Virginia Beach, March 1st to the 4th. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, March 9th to the 11th. And Columbus, Ohio, March 15th through the 18th. That's where I'll be. Got a lot to talk about, just like I got a lot to talk about every week. All-Star game. I enjoyed it more than I think I have in the last probably 10 years because, 1, the game was good. 2, they were actually playing some defense. And 3, it looked like people cared. So at first I wanted to stay east-west. But then when I saw it, I was like, I liked it. Because you basically have the most popular and best guy in the East, LeBron, against Steph Curry in the West. So really it was kind of a East versus West captains, but then they got to pick their own teams. The only thing I would change is next year, I think the draft should be public because they're so scared about hurting people's feelings, which is ridiculous. The NFL draft is public. Every draft is public. And I think it goes back to when I watched the UFC, The Ultimate Fighter. They pick the fighters 1 through 16, they pick them. And you can always tell the last pick is always a little pissed. They always want to prove something a little more. So if you're the last pick in the NBA All-Star game, aren't you going to play a little harder than the guy that was the second, third pick? Because you want to prove like, you're going to pick me last? And I just think it adds to the drama. It adds to the game itself. So I think, of course, because it's not like it's a bad thing to be the last pick in the All-Star game. It's just you probably aren't the best player out there. I mean, we know who the first picks are always going to be. I just liked it, man. And I think it's obvious if they're watching the All-Star game. LeBron's like the new Jordan. He's the MVP every year. I mean, Harden's probably going to get it, but LeBron's the best player. And we all know it. You saw how he willed his team to win in the All-Star game.
Communicate. Team Stephen does not have a timeout. Team LeBron has 1 timeout. Neither club has shot well from 3-point range. Now to 5 seconds. Curry looking for the 3. Curry double team. Curry can't find it. Now does, and that will do it. And Team LeBron off the bench. A happy group.
We were down the whole game, and then to come back. It was LeBron, man. They was playing D. Steph couldn't get a shot up that the last possession. It was just good. I liked it. One thing I would never have again, I would not have Fergie singing the national anthem. I would never do that again. I think she had good intentions, like I'm gonna make it sexy. But at some point, somebody in her crew has to tell her that's not going well. I don't think that's gonna hit. I tell you, in her defense though, when you rehearse and you do something, there's no crowd. You really, if you're trying something different, you don't know what the reaction is gonna be because there's absolutely no energy in the building when you're doing it. It's weird when I do sound check or I get ready to film something, stand up for TV, because sometimes they want you to run a couple jokes to see how it sounds and where the camera is going to be. But it's always weird running jokes and there's no audience. You just don't know that there's no energy in the room. So you just don't know. So I wouldn't have Fergie ever do that again. And even though Kevin Hart's my boy, I wouldn't have a comedian trying to crack on people as they're getting introduced for the All-Star game. Because I wasn't there live, but I heard there wasn't a lot of energy in the room, which is, when you're doing something like that, it's the equivalent of a hell gig. There's things that we know are hell gigs and in this business. And to me, that was a hell gig. I would have just, if it was me, I would have just been hyping them up, been excited for them. I would have got the laughs just off the energy I had. But when Kev was trying to crack on them, the only reason I didn't like it is because some of those guys, some of them, that's going to be the peak of their career. They worked so hard to make it to the NBA. Look at the guy from Miami that was the replacement, Dragic, and then Victor Oladipo, who didn't get his just due in Orlando, goes to Indiana, he's balling out, and he busted his ass over the summer because I follow the guy that trains him, and he makes the All-Star game. Last thing he wants to do is get bagged on when he gets introduced. He's like, yo, man, I worked my ass off for this. I want love right now. I don't want to get bagged on. I just think there's a time and a place, and it looked like a lot of players wasn't feeling it. and I think Cam probably got with his boys, like, okay, this will be funny. And in a comedy club setting or most other settings, it probably would be funny. But I just think in that setting, I don't think it was the place, and that's just my opinion, So when I saw that, I was like, So those are two things I would change. And the halftime show with Pharrell, I was lost. I missed it. Like I wasn't on acid. I was like, I don't get it. Like I think if I was on acid, I would have got it. I don't know. But I was a little lost. We're always trying to up the bar and change things, but sometimes things aren't broken. Just hype them up. The best intros is when you let the players decide how they want to be introduced. Almost like baseball players. If you ever go to a baseball game, more often than not, I haven't been to every stadium, but when a player gets introduced, when it's his turn to bat, a song comes on. The player gets to pick that song. So you kind of get a feel for what he's about. And it'd be funny, too, because sometimes there'd be white dudes, and that's this hardcore hip-hop song come on. You'd be like, oh, I would never think Joey Votto listened to that. And then you can always tell if a guy's Spanish, because then, like, a Spanish song comes on. Like, oh, okay. Now I see you, Soriano. I see what you're doing there. And I think that, for me, that was what the NBA should do. Like, remember when Shaq came out with the Jabberwockies? And then, even to a lesser extent, when Drake was introducing the people, all the NBA All-Stars, it was in Toronto. Drake just hyped them up. He just hyped them up and gave them their props. And I like that. I understand what the goal was with Kevin and whoever came up with that idea. And then, to me, it would sound good in a pitch meeting. It would sound good. It might even sound good in rehearsal. Like, that's going to kill. But when I saw it on TV, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, I should say. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I just think those guys worked so hard. And some of them was like, man, I don't want to get bagged on right now. Busting my ass to make this All-Star game. He's just going to bag on me? But speaking of Kev, after the All-Star game, which was great, the next day, probably one of the most iconic pictures was taken on Instagram. And I'm going to post it on my YouTube page. But it was Kevin, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock. It was Dave Chappelle. It was Chris Tucker. And they all got a picture together. I guess they all went out to eat. And then there was another picture with Gabrielle and Dwayne Wade in the picture. I think Dwayne was in that picture too, Dwayne Wade. And then Gabrielle was there, and all the couples was there. So Kev had his wife, Aniko, and Chris had his girlfriend. And Dave and Chris Tucker didn't have theirs, but Eddie, there was one white girl. I was like, it's got to be Eddie's chick. But it was an iconic photo, to say the least. And I was just thinking, if Eddie, Chris, Dave, and Kevin I would never put them on tour together. But if they just did like one monster show, I remember years ago, Garth Brooks did Central Park and he had 1 million fans come out. They could easily put those 4 together and then say, we're going for 1 million fans to come to a comedy show. And they could do it at a Central Park, or they could do it in LA somewhere, or just a field. They'd have to find like a Coachella or some shit like that. And I bet you Eddie would have to host. My lineup would be Eddie host, Kev, Chris, and Dave. That would be the lineup if I was going to put that together. And not that it's a respect factor for Kev to go first, because, and I think he would agree with that, you would have to have Chris and Dave because they're the vets. And then Eddie would have to host because he just hasn't been around in so long doing stand-up. Almost like Martin's got that tour coming out now called the Lit AF Tour, which means as fuck, lit as fuck. Now, he's got different comics on the road with him, but Martin's hosting because he knows he's getting back in it, getting his feet wet. And that's a smart way to go when you're getting back into theaters and headlining like that. Just host, then you can riff a lot. And if a joke falls flat, not a big deal. You got a guy coming up after you. And so I just think, man, that'd be unbelievable. I bet you those 4 could do 1 million somewhere. Man, that'd be groundbreaking. They could make a movie out of that. Easy. Putting it together and leading up to the show and backstage, and everybody will watch it. I mean, I don't know. Netflix is throwing out crazy money. Just an idea. Other thing that happened last week was Black Panther came out and just blew away box office numbers. Blew them away. And I waited till Monday to see it after opening weekend because my wife wanted to see it with me. And I was working in Orlando that weekend it came out. And so I lied. I told people I was going to go see it opening weekend, and I didn't. I went Monday. But that's just because me and my wife wanted to see it together. And it was kind of cool that the theater we went to was it was in the suburbs, but it was black and white people would go to that theater to go see it. And like the black people was dressed in like African garb. Like they had the dashikis on and how old boy would dress from Living Single. Not what was the guy's name? Kyle. How Kyle would dress on Living Single is how a lot of people was dressed. And it was kind of cool to see. It was such a good movie too. I mean, the special effects were amazing. And Chadwick Boseman, what can he play? I know he played Thurgood Marshall and Jackie Robinson. So I go see Black Panther, and he's got the accent, the African accent. And then I get home the next day, and I see a movie on Netflix, and I don't know what it's called, but it's a Netflix original. And he's playing a South African guy comes to LA to look for his missing sister. And he's got the same accent that he had in Black Panther. And I just started to wonder, like, I wonder if they filmed that right after Black Panther or right before it, because clearly he had the accent on point. So maybe they was like, look, he's got the accent down. We got to do this movie now. I'm guessing the movie was done after Black Panther, because with all the special effects, and I'm sure they had to do a lot of reshoots, it looked like the Netflix movie Chadwick could have did immediately after, and it wasn't a lot of special effects. They probably could have shot that in 6-7 weeks. But I find myself talking like I'm in the Black Panther sometimes. I'll just be around my house. I go, why do you look at me like that? My wife is in the bedroom. I go, do you normally undress in that manner? My accent's terrible. Sorry. It's like a half Chinese, half London, half African accent. It sounds really bad now that I just heard myself do it on my podcast. I take all that back. I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny. I kind of feel like Kevin introducing NBA players right now. That just fell flat. In my mind, it was about to be funny. And then when I just said it, I go, no, not funny. See, look how bad that accent was. Yeah, I take that all back. But Black Panther was so good. And what's crazy about the Black Panther is I get to LA right before opening weekend of Black Panther, like 2 days before it opens. So I'm in the airport, and I know this TMZ guy when I see him. And I always know I'm his second or third choice. Always. When he sees me, like he'll look at me and he won't come to me right away. And then when he realizes nobody else is at the airport, then he'll approach me. Because I remember one time I was coming down the escalator and I saw him standing there, and I heard someone that goes, "Hey man, you just missed Solange." He goes, "Ah." And I guess then he came to me realizing Solange was already gone. But he hemmed me up this last trip I did to LA, because I guess there was a petition from change.org that was asking for 25% of the proceeds from Black Panther go to the Black community. And I thought that was the most ridiculous because I was like, okay, for one, that's such a blanket disbursement of the money. What exactly is the Black community? Here's the thing. We let, and I'm finding this out, and it's a good thing. It comes with territory. We let the media get some people all fired up about shit that really there's no substance to it. No movie ever being made was obligated to give part of its proceeds to a charity. When the TMZ guy hit me up and asked me about it, I was like, no, that's not the responsibility. Because when does it end? When does another charity come out? Because they filmed a good portion of the movie in South Korea. So does South Korea deserve part of the proceeds to the South Korean community? What is that? And even when this TMZ guy asked me, Gary, do you think it's a good idea to give 25%? And I was like, no, just go see the movie, support it first weekend, which I didn't. I went Monday, but I did pay my money to see it. And then if it does well, it opens up so many other doors for more movies of this genre and more majority black cast like this was. And, it's obvious there's going to be a Black Panther 2. Just don't rush it. I want to see it come out next year. I'm thinking it's 2018, 2020, late at the soonest. It really could be a Christmas release, maybe 2019 Christmas release at the soonest. But man, that movie was so good. The special effects, the acting, it was good. It was good. And everybody was in shape. That kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, I literally had some popcorn and had to set it down. That's the bad thing about watching superhero movies like Thor and Black Panther. Like, you'll have a soda and popcorn and some Raisinets and be like, you guys got any hummus or celery? They should sell that at the theaters for these superhero movies. But back to the TMZ. So the guy hems me up and he asked me the question. And I basically said, no, it's not their obligation. Just go see the movie, support it, and it opens up doors for more movies like this. So that's what I said. And I said, he said, well, they're promoting it heavily to the Black community. And I said, no, they're promoting it heavily everywhere. And I said, they just did a whole press junket in South Korea. And that's before I saw the movie and realized, they filmed a good portion of the movie in South Korea. So obviously they're going to promote it there. But they want South Koreans to go see the movie too. And plus it's just not their responsibility. And I hate how whoever this change.org petition got going, they got all these people fired up about nothing because it was never going to happen. It's a stupid argument. It's never going to happen. It was never going to happen. You're opening up Pandora's box with that because then the other movies open. And then what do we got to give to that organization? We got to give to this organization. It's like, no, if you want to give to charity, give because you want to give, not because you're obligated to give. Because then it really doesn't mean anything anyways. If you're obligating people to give, well, I mean, when does it stop? So the guy asked me the questions and I thought I answered diplomatically, like, hey, go support the movie. I'm going to go see it and I hope it does well. And I thought I was all positive. You just go support the movie and then it makes money. And then more movies like this will get made with Black lead actors and Black and Black superheroes, which is huge because Marvel's killing it right now. Marvel is destroying DC, and I would have thought it was the other way around. If you would ask me Marvel or DC, which movies are going to be bigger, I would have said, Superman, Batman for sure. No, it's the other way around. It's Marvel killing it. Stan Lee, come on now. So I make this comment to TMZ, and I keep it moving. I guess they found Vivica A. Fox at the airport too, the same guy, and he interviewed her. And she said, yeah, that'd be awesome if they gave 25% to the Black community. Vivica didn't know I got interviewed. So it wasn't me versus her. She didn't say anything bad towards me. I didn't say anything bad towards her because neither of us knew. Both of us got asked the same question. All she said was, it would be great if they did it. She didn't say they have to do it. She goes, yeah, it'd be great. Next day, here's what the headlines read on TMZ and all these other blogs that picked it up, these news outlets. Vivica A. Fox supports Black Panther giving 25% of the proceeds to the Black community. Gary Owen does not. And I was like, these motherfuckers took what I said and now twisted it into I'm against giving, And I'm like, see how they twisted that? Read the headline. You think Vivica A. Fox is for the Black Panther and for the Black community, and I'm not. Which was the furthest from the truth. But it just shows me how the media, and it's really, and I'm glad it's happening because now I know to read everything. Like I'm not just going to read the headlines. I'm going to read and see what it's really about. Because I've been I got to admit, I've been a, what do you call it? Not a victim, but I've been bamboozled or fooled before by just reading a headline and believing it. But it was like, oh, I see what they did here. But that's not what happened. Vivica didn't know I got interviewed. I didn't know Vivica got interviewed. Vivica did not say they have to give 25%. She was, yeah, it'd be great. I just said, it's not their obligation. They don't have to do that. You can't force somebody to do that. Change.org, whoever started that. And then I heard conflicting stories about that. I heard it was started by a white dude that was just trying to start shit. And then I heard it was started by a black guy that's just looking for a handout. But it just goes to show you how people get riled up and fired up over nothing. I mean, really, all that was nothing. Because really, there was no way in hell they were going to give 25% of the proceeds to any charity, any organization. And when you say the black community, what exactly is that? Where does that money actually get dispersed? That's such a blanket. There's no such thing as the black community and it goes to one organization that gives it evenly to all the black communities in the country. It's just bullshit. But they make you think. Now they got these people fired up about nothing. And now you got people. It was funny because what I found out is black Twitter is real. I've heard about it, like black Twitter will come after you. Well, after the Monique situation calmed down, which is already dead to me, it was done. It was gone. Now it's like, why does Gary Owens keep sticking his nose in black people's business? He needs to stay in his own lane. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I got to ask the question in the car. Like, the TMZ guy didn't hit me up at the airport. He chased me down, and I'm in the car, and my driver stopped and damn near backed into him. And if you look at the video, you can see it. We're going to put it on my YouTube page. If you see the video, you see I'm in the backseat of a car. I'm waiting to go to my hotel, and we're in the parking garage. We're at the top of the parking. You can see. And he knocked on the window. I was like, and I know the guy. I don't know his name, but I know him when I fly into LAX. He's like, Gary, what's up? And I don't even know if he wrote the article like that or he just posted it and then somebody else said Gary Owen isn't. But, he always asks me crazy questions. So I never know where I'm coming from. And, I try to make light of the situation. But it just, all of a sudden, okay, I spoke out against a black woman, Monique, and now I'm speaking out against the black movie, Black Panther, which is both bullshit. You just got people, reading these headlines and not really looking. And then it was great, though, because one girl on Twitter that really broke down what I said and said, why are you guys so upset? It don't mean us. He goes, she even called out. She goes, who's ever writing these articles, they're fooling you guys. You guys are like sheep being led to the slaughter. Look at what Gary said. He said nothing bad about the movie. He said nothing bad about the proceeds. Nothing. He just said it's not going to happen. It wouldn't happen. And it's not their duty. That's all. He goes, and it isn't. There's been no movie that's been forced to give to a charity. That's stupid. It's just dumb. So, but you got somebody came up with that, got all these people fired up, and all of a sudden this black Twitter, which is a real thing I found out, and I don't know where all these people come from, but they just come, you Gary Owen, stay in your lane. Just because you got a black wife and black kids, that does not make you black. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened? I was in the back of a car. A guy asked me a question, and I answered. I had the right not to answer, but I didn't think it was a big deal. So I answered. And like they said, there's no such thing as bad publicity. There really isn't, because the people that come to my shows and paying to see me, they know what I'm about. And the people that are mad on Twitter and saying they will never support me, you were never going to support me anyways. You have never been to one of my live shows. So I can speak whenever I want. And I've been talking about it on stage now of how, black Twitter, stay in your lane. I'm like, what exactly is my lane, by the way? And if you're saying stay out of black people's business, then you're telling me to stay off of my wife's business, out of my kids' business. And by the way, I said my oldest son is my stepson. He's a black kid. He's full black, by the way. And I paid for him to go to college. So I paid for a black kid to go to college. And all these people on black Twitter was like, well, stay in your lane. How many kids you sent to college that wasn't yours? Shut the fuck up. How many black kids you paid to go to college that wasn't your kid? Shut the fuck up. I'm in my lane. I almost said homie. I'm in my lane, homie. That's what cracks me up. Like, how you going to tell me stay out of black people's business? Have you been to my house? There ain't no but black people in that house. That is my business. You know? And if you ask me a question, and that goes another thing. If you ask somebody a question and they give you an honest answer, their opinion, they're just being honest with their opinion, then you're mad about them. People are mad about that. So you want people to be honest, but then when they are honest, you attack them for their honesty. But I'll tell you this. I did have a lady when the Monique shit was going down. I had a lady on Facebook that sent me a well thought out private message on Facebook. And it just was, she was telling me she's a fan of mine. She's followed me for years and she doesn't agree with the tone and how I seem to be attacking Monique in the Instagram video I made. And she goes, I just wish you would have stated your points in a more monotone, and she said, because it is hard for black women out here in the workforce. It is. And she goes, and she even said, even though I don't agree with what Monique's trying to do, it did make it a topic of discussion. And I sent her a message back, and I really sent messages back on personal messages like that on my fan page. I just told her, thank you. Thank you for not attacking me. Thank you for making me sit down and think about your point of view. And I was just giving you, and I gave her my point of view. And then she sent me another message back. And we had like 4 or 5 back and forth messages, but it was refreshing because it was just a lady stating her point of view, telling me, hey, this is what you should think about. And I was like, you're right. Because my Instagram was a little fired up. I was a little emotional when I made it. But it was nice to have some person goes, I'm not going to stop being your fan. I'm not going to stop come seeing you if you come to my city because of this one incident. She goes, I just didn't agree with how you delivered the message, not necessarily the message. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And then she saw my point of view also. And I said, hey, I wasn't trying to attack Monique. I was more just standing up for a friend of mine. So it was nice. And I was like, see, there are people out there that really read and listen to everything you're saying. But then when you just automatically come at me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and you started off with white boy or white stay out of black people's business, there's no reason for me to respond. Because no matter what I say, you've already made up in your mind white people's opinions aren't valid in any kind of racial discussion. But I can't address that. But that black Twitter is real because they came at me hot and heavy. But it is nice when people were like, yo, and you can have an open discussion because I like to think I have an open mind to things and I'm not right about everything. And when that lady sent me that message on Facebook, I said, yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't have got so much backlash from the Monique rant if I wasn't yelling or seeming so passionate. If I would just said, hey, listen, Mo, come on. Will's a good guy. Then that would have been a different reaction. And she was right. I was like, yeah, I could have said the exact same thing with less passion, I should say. And I probably wouldn't have got the backlash I got. So it was, that's the good and bad part about social media. You can get attacked a lot, but it's also, you can actually have good interactions with people and have discussions that when you get done with the discussion, you just feel better. It's crazy, like how a message on social media can put you in a foul mood or it can put you in a good mood. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do any crazy fired up rants anymore like that. And so in that instance, this Facebook message, it helped me too. It helped me a little bit. So I just wanted that lady that sent me the message. Thanks for sending it to me. And I even told her, thank you. Thanks for having just a good discussion with me because I actually enjoyed it. So we had a real tragedy happen also with the school shooting down in South Florida. And then it became a gun debate. And my thing is, I was a cop in the military. And every night I turned in my gun to the armory. I never took it home with me. Never took my gun home with me. And I was relieved. I didn't want that on me. I didn't want a gun on me and I just lived in a little apartment in San Diego. But I had to go to work every day with a gun. I had a gun that was mine, but I never brought it home. And then, with the AR-15, this kid could purchase the AR-15 pretty easy. And he goes in and just goes on a rampage. I just think there has to be a discussion. There has to be laws that are changed that What do you need an AR-15 for? Do you need that to shoot a deer? Don't go deer hunting. Because think about it, if you take an AR-15 to go hunting any kind of animal, it's kind of like going bowling and you're going to roll 8 balls down the lane. Yeah, of course you're gonna get a strike. That's kind of boring. So hunting, everybody I know that goes hunting for deers and rabbits and it's a shotgun, a pellet gun. It's something you can just get one shot, and you got to do it. What do you need a military assault rifle for? To me, there's no justification. And if you look at all the mass shootings, they're all done by AR-15s, most of them. And Columbine started it. You know, when Columbine happened in 99, 2000? I think it was 99. You know, people see it. They see the reaction. They see the press it gets, and then they follow it. And that's what's going on. And then you got teenagers who feel left out, different. And then I would read stuff about how this kid, it is true. Like if it would have been a Muslim or Mexican kid, oh my God, there would have been an outrage on Muslims and the religion and the Mexicans. And we got to get these documented illegals out of here. But it's a white kid, even though his last name's Cruz. He's very quick to say, I think he was Italian. And then they say his mother passed away and he went downhill from there. That holds no weight with me. And then because what it seems like the media is trying to do is humanize the kid. When you kill 17 people with no regard, I don't care what kind of trauma you went through. There's no excuse for that. None in my book. You can have that shit. You can have that. But they're going to try to humanize him, say he was mentally ill, whatever. There's 17 people. And then my thing is, you want schools to look like college campuses. I mean, some schools look like prisons and some look like college campuses. And if you look at most of the mass school shootings, they're at the schools that look like college campuses. They're not at the inner city schools, the low income schools that look more like prisons. Because I really think you get a metal detector, you get an armed security guard on campus, and I don't care what school it is, it's a deterrent for anyone thinking about shooting up a school. It's just a deterrent. Okay, see, the metal detectors, and I looked it up, the pricing of it. They can range anywhere from $1,000 to like $30,000, which the schools aren't going to get $30,000 metal detectors. Probably get $5,000-$6,000 metal detectors. So I say, put metal detectors in every school, every single one. Put security guards at every school. I don't care how much tuition is. I don't care what kind of the income is for that school. Every school should have a metal detector, because I'd rather be preventive than trying to figure out what went wrong after the fact, which is happening now in South Florida, which happened at Sandy Hook, which happened at Columbine. If you look at the inner city schools, there's no mass shootings in inner city schools because they got those metal detectors there because they're anticipating something might happen. So shouldn't we be anticipating something might happen at these higher income schools? And if you want to say, metal detectors cost money, security guards cost money. You know what else costs money? Caskets, flowers, funeral homes. Those cost money also. So now you got 17 people. I would have no problem with my kids walking through a metal detector every day. Even when I was a cop, in the military, when the base I was on in San Diego, Tuesday nights was urban night. It was black night. And so you had to walk through a metal detector, and we had to wand you down before you got into the base nightclub. And when my first night doing it, because you had to do it like once every other week, Tuesday nights, you had to work at the nightclub on the base. And I was working nights. And I always felt awkward because it was always like most of the cops are white. And then you got all these black people coming into the club. And we didn't do it on country and western night. We didn't do it on Friday and Saturday night. Like today, we always had the metal detectors, but he didn't have the wand, the extra. Well, what I found out was there was a shooting on the base, and somebody there have been guns confiscated at that nightclub on Tuesday nights. And that's why we took the extra precaution, the base did, to wand people down even after the metal detector. But I still felt awkward because here I'm a white guy and most of the cops are white, even though we did have some black security guards, and the black people was coming through. And until one brother, as I'm wanding him down, Like, he just said in my ear, like, hey, man, I'm so glad you guys are doing this shit. And I just felt, okay. I felt like it was okay to do it then. Because even he told me, basically he was telling me, look, I want to go out and have a good time, and I don't want anything to happen. So regardless, and I swear to you, nothing ever happened at that nightclub. I did that for a year. Tuesday nights, 32nd Street, San Diego. The base club was the Urban Night, the Black Night. Never had problem, other than the occasional pushy matches, scuffles, girls arguing. That's going to happen at a nightclub when you got young people and liquor. That's going to happen. Never no weapons, never a knife, never a gun, never brass knuckles. Nothing like that ever happened, ever. It was one of the smoothest nights on the base. I bet you they have more fights and arguments on the Friday and Saturday nights when they weren't winding people down, and not because people bring weapons, but it's just less of a deterrent. If you see you're walking through a metal detector and then you see cops winding people down too, you're like, shit, security's tight here. You're not going to get an argument. You know you're going to get caught. And there's cameras. So I just say we got to find a way. I mean, we can have that gun discussion day and night, because people that are pro-guns are not going to change their mind. They're just not. And people against guns are not going to change their mind. But I do like how the kids are starting to do, I think March 24th is supposed to be a nationwide walkout of the schools. And if you don't hear these kids, I mean, the way they're speaking, the kids from the high school that just got shut up in South Florida, I mean, they're so passionate. I mean, how do you not listen to them? And it's just the NRA lines the politicians' pockets with so much money. And it's so easy for people to be like, you're just taking blood money and da-da-da-da-da. But it's not a little amount of money. I mean, the NRA is lining with multi-millions, these politicians' pockets. So for the politicians to be like, yeah, my conscience, but they're also thinking, I'm looking out for my family. I want them to be set up financially when this is all said and done. So all these politicians that are not wanting to vote in stricter gun laws because the NRA is like, no. I mean, when somebody's giving you that amount of money, it's not an easy thing to say, nah, I'm going to take a stand. Because then you're like, now I'm risking my immediate family's financial future. So what's going to have to happen, and it's tragic, and I hope it doesn't, but the only way probably that this could ever really get movement and politicians start speaking out is it's going to happen to a president, vice president, senator's kid is going to be at school and get shot and killed. And then they're going to be like, whoa. So I took all this money from the NRA, but now my kid got killed because some other kid was easy access to an AR-15. And then the argument that a lot of people have is, well, then the criminals are going to get the weapons, but then the average citizen won't have access to it. Look, man, there's no magic wand that's going to eliminate crime, that's going to eliminate guns from everywhere. But it reminds me of when I got to DC, when I was 18 years old, I get stationed in DC, and I get stationed in Honor Guard in Washington DC. And when I got there, it was the murder capital of the country. DC was in '92. It was the murder capital of the country. And then I went to this class, and it's a transition class. It lets people know where to go, where not to go in DC, what you can expect, what you shouldn't expect, how to ride the metro, because you had a bunch of teenagers without cars and not a lot of money. And what they said was, even though DC is the murder capital of the country, 85% of the murders are drug related. So if you're not involved in the drug business, you're probably not going to get murdered, is what it came down to. If you're not in the areas where it's a high drug area. And let's just be honest. If you leave people alone and you're good to people and stuff like that, most likely shit ain't going to happen to you. But it's going to happen every now and then. But if you do the right things in life, and chances are crime's not going to find you like that. But then you got these crazy situations like these mass school shootings and stuff. So we can't just sit here and be like, okay. I hear that. I heard that a lot this week. My prayers are with you, our thoughts. That don't do shit. Pray for me before the shit happens. But afterwards, I'm like, that's not going to bring my son or daughter back. I wish Trump would have like a town hall in Florida at this high school even, and let people, get their shit off. You're going to have to take some heat, but let them sit there and vent. They deserve it. They deserve that much. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's so hard because the people that are pro guns, you're not going to change their mind unless something happens to them. You're not. And for every story of a mass school shooting, there's also a story of somebody getting robbed or somebody trying to mug somebody, but that person had a gun and they stopped the robbery. But that's not normal. That even most people that have guns in their house, it's in a safe. So if you are getting robbed, you're not just going to be able to run to the safe. It's just so hard. I mean, we got so many preventive measures now. You got 911 and you got buttons you can press in your home that alert the cops right away. There's so many other outlets, but it's so rare somebody breaks in somebody's house and the robbers die or get killed by the homeowner. It happens, but it's so rare. I hate it when gun owners act like, I'm just protecting my family. No. You got a little ego. You like that power in your hand is what you like. Let's be honest. It ain't, I'm just trying to protect my family. That's such a fucking cop-out when it comes to that shit. Because let me tell you something. Being an ex-cop, I had to pull my gun out one time. I was nervous as shit when I pulled my gun out. I was shaking. I was looking like Barney Fife. I was so nervous. Granted, I didn't shoot it, put it back in my holster, but I had to pull it on somebody one time. Man, everything went through my brain. And I was a trained cop. And I was scared as shit. And I was in control of the situation. I can't imagine what will go through my brain. Somebody's in my house breaking in. I got to pull out my gun. What the fuck? Be lucky to hit that dude. It ain't like it's easy to shoot somebody, too, when you're nervous like that. Shit, you could aim for the kitchen and hit the bathroom. Now, one other thing, I want to end this episode on a good note. When I was in Orlando, I did a joke about, I do a joke now in my act about I could never join the Army and Marines because I could never be that guy to jump on a grenade. I could not be that kind of American hero. I couldn't kill myself so my platoon would live. I could like to tell myself that, but I couldn't do it. And so I said I couldn't be the guy to jump on a grenade. There's more to the joke. So after my show, this guy comes up to me and I posted it on my Instagram page, a picture of me and this guy. He comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, you ain't got to jump on a grenade. You just got to kick it." And he sticks out a prosthetic leg. And he lost his leg. He was ex-military. He lost his leg by kicking a grenade. A grenade exploded and he lost his leg. But the fact that this guy could come to my show, laugh at my joke about not being able to jump on a grenade, and then come up to me afterwards and say, "You don't jump on a grenade, you kick it." It just, I tell you, I recharged my battery as a comedian. And I've sent a long message. I don't know who the guy is, and hopefully I can find him because, after a show, you're coming down off stage and you got a lot of people. I do meet and greets. So you got a lot of people coming trying to get pictures. So it's pretty much like it's a cattle call almost. It's an assembly line. You're just trying to get these pictures and sign autographs and stuff so you can get ready for the next show. So I didn't get a chance to let process what just happened until afterwards. And I was like, holy shit. I said, that guy lost his leg kicking a grenade. So a grenade exploded, lost his leg. And he's able to come to my show and not take it personal when I do a joke about not being able to jump on a grenade. And he laughed about it. And we shared like a big laugh when I saw his leg. And he said, "You got to kick it." I mean, it was like a big laugh. And if I saw the guy, I don't tell him thanks. Because I did a joke about my cousin who's special needs, and I had all these special needs advocates come after me. You can't be talking about people like that. I wasn't talking about a bunch of people. I was talking about my cousin. And they took it so personal. And this guy who lost his leg didn't take my joke personal about jumping on a grenade. He was able to laugh about it. And it just lets me know that how important comedy is, because our job is to make the uncomfortable comfortable and funny. And I'd rather be a guy that just goes out on my shield like, look, man, I'm just going for it. And it might offend some people, but I hope it makes some people laugh that have been through these situations. And I can't thank that guy enough, man. That shit meant so much to me by him showing me his leg and be like, I'm laughing at it. So if anybody else was to ever come up to me if I did that joke and said, "How could you dare say that?" But it just lets me know that what we do as comedians is important. And I hope this guy helped me, and I hope my jokes help him, because I get messages. The messages that mean the most to me on social media and everything is the ones that when people are in the hospital and they're sick or they got a disease and they're like, dude, the only thing that makes me laugh is going to YouTube and watching your videos. Or they said they were in Afghanistan or Iraq and they were able to pull up my videos, or somebody sent them a DVD of mine and they were able to watch it and it got them through. Because just think, can you imagine you're in somewhere, you don't have internet, but you got a DVD and you and like 5-6 guys in your platoon just sitting around watching a comedy show. And then the fact that it could be yours, mine, that's just mind-boggling to me. And it just lets me know that comedians, what we do is important, because we're letting people escape reality for a few hours. That's no different than NFL football and NBA basketball is important, because for me, that's my escape. It lets me escape everything I'm going through for those 2-3 hours to watch that NBA game or the NFL game or a good boxing match or a good UFC fight. It's just an escape, and that's why it's so popular, and that's why those guys deserve all the money that they get. And that guy come up to me with his prosthetic leg meant so much to me. And I'm not even going to do a crazy stepdad story this week because I don't want to ruin how we just ended this podcast. You know what? I will end on this, because my stepdad never joined the military. He never did. And he told me when the draft came, he said they used to draft by your birthdays. And he said it just so happened my birthday was 364. I was like, what are the chances? And I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but he did say my draft number his birthday just was 364. There's only 365 days. I don't know if they even did February 29th. I think the military knew we don't want this fucker. Nah, he ain't gonna make it. We ain't gonna let this motherfucker. When's his birthday? Okay, keep him out. So yeah, again, thank you to that guy. And and I hope I post on my Instagram. I hope somebody can tag him and I can thank him personally through a message of him just showing me his leg like that. It just meant a lot to me that he's able to laugh, turn something tragic and make it funny and share a laugh with me about it. It just meant a lot. All right, y'all. Well, anyways, like I said, I gave you my rundown of where I'm going to be on March. Virginia Beach, March 1st to the 4th. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, March 9th to the 11th. And then Columbus, Ohio, March 15th to the 18th. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.